𝗜희𝘀𝗽𝗶𝗿 here with Tish Talks Tech, and today we are talking to a dynamic few. I am so happy that you all are with us today out here in the viewing audience. And obviously, everything wants to play back for us. There we go. And so I just want to be able to tell you all right now that we are going to have a fabulous, dynamic, fantastic show. And I cannot wait for you to see who's with us today. Let me open it up. Today we have Dr. Robert Owor, we have Adia, and we have Devonte Hawkins. And you all know them, love them, have seen them everywhere. Some of you have met them at Share, and they're here today on the main network with Tish Talks Tech on our sponsored series that happens on Friday nights. So how is everybody doing today?
We're doing very good.
Doing
very
pretty well.
good.
Doing good.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear it. So glad to hear it. So we have you here on the show talking about some really amazing things. I just want to say first that I cannot believe how Dr. Owor has made such an impact on this space, the mainframe space. And for those of you that do not know Dr. Owor, he's down at Albany State University teaching. And this is the superstar that actually gathered everybody up and took them to Share. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very good. I'm very good, Leticia. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. And I'm just pleased as peach tea just to have you here because, you know, I've been following as usual. I've been following, and when Devonte had told me that you were the one that took them to Share, I just said, I've got to meet this individual because, you know, we've got a lot of instructors, professors, teachers out there that really do a lot of work. But how often is it that you get to hear that person took a group of college students to Share for 3 whole days?
Yes, it was wonderful. It was excellent, really. Yes.
That's outstanding. So I know that you were down at Albany State University. Tell us a little bit about your program.
Well, the Albany State University IBM program is a wonderful collaboration. It started in 2015. It started in 2014, really, but it took off in 2015. Mm-hmm. And we've had several students participate in this program. And we've also had a lot of them join IBM. So we have several students who are now working for IBM. Wow. But the program really is about learning technology. And so we have a space where we train people in the mainframe. We do a lot of mainframe technologies. We participate in Master the Mainframe, which is now 𝗜희𝘀𝗽𝗶𝗿. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of students get into those challenges, and they are very excited about those challenges, and then they learn a lot, and then they do certifications, and they get badges. So they get a lot of badges, which can then be used by them to apply for internships. And then they get internships, and finally they get jobs, which is very, very exciting. And most of the students are amazed. They get jobs earning, anywhere from 90,000 to 100,000, 6 figures. Mm-hmm. So you don't get that easily anywhere. So, and right. IBM is so large that, it runs so many corporations, so many banks, insurance companies. The IRS runs on IBM. You have Social Security Office. You have the FAA. I mean, all the major companies in the world, the military, use IBM. So IBM is a great technology, and the mainframe in particular. But in addition to the mainframe, they have specific technologies. They work in software engineering. They develop software. they work in quantum cryptography, they work
Yes.
in cryptography itself, they work in so many areas, databases. So you can take any direction you want with mainframe and computing. And the students are working in every single area. We have some students working in Watson. There are others who are working in technical sales. There are those who are working in cryptography. There are those who are working on databases. So they have many areas where they're working now. Yes.
That's amazing. So there's this whole ecosystem down at ASU that's teaching these Z system technologies, and people are getting training, they're
Yes.
getting internships,
Yes.
self-development,
Yes.
and finally jobs,
Yes.
good paying jobs.
Yes.
What do you think the outlook is for those in the area, or well, nationwide really? What do you think the outlook is for students to get into the program? How early should they apply?
As early as the freshman year, really. In
Wow.
fact, we've started going to the middle and high schools. We run a summer program. We run a NASA summer program where we are training students about NASA technologies, and we are looking forward to landing on Mars in 2030. So we are doing a lot
Wow.
of NASA technologies, and we also introduce them to IBM technologies. So we teach them about cybersecurity, we teach them about mainframe, and they can also register and start doing those badges and certificates.
Wow.
And then once they get into the freshman year, we usually have IBM ambassadors, and Devonte and Adia are both ambassadors, IBM ambassadors. These ambassadors talk to the students, they encourage them to join the IBM club, they encourage them to do Z-Explore and several other IBM things. And so once we get into IBM, we start attending conferences, IBM workshops. We compete in IBM hackathons. And then, of course, that's where we get opportunities for internships and for jobs. Yeah. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. And not even just within our IBM specifically, although, of course, it's easier to network with those people directly, but really it gives you just networking within the computer science space as a whole, especially within mainframes. So,
I love that. So, Adia, that segues into what I was really curious about with you. I know that you just got a really amazing internship at Ensono. Um, it's not a secret anymore.
yeah.
um, listen, I, I applaud you. Tell me
Yeah.
about tell me about your experience as far as going through the program, and just how you landed in your Ensono internship.
Yeah, so I joined the computer science department in the beginning of my junior year. Prior to that, I was a general studies associate's degree path. So, really, junior year was when I entered the department, started taking the core classes. I quickly realized that Dr. Owor was someone to stick close to. Partially because Devonte also had met me then, and we became friends. And he was like, "Oh yeah, Dr. Owor is great. You should continue talking with him."
Yeah.
And so I did that. I took that advice, and that has been panning out very well for me because really, Dr. Orr in particular is the one who really does a lot of this stuff in regards to directly connecting us to IBM and to other external companies. Other professors they do give us networking opportunities, but they just don't bring in that very close working relationship to the same degree, specifically with our institution. So no shade to them at all. But Dr. Orr has made
He's
sure that
connected.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
made sure that that we know about the badge opportunities, the opportunities to go to conferences. He's the one who comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to take a couple students to go to XYZ thing happening at ABC Place. It's a good networking opportunity. You should come. Just tell me you want to do it. It'll be free." And he makes sure that he gets all the funding secured and everything so that those opportunities become very accessible to us. And he also pushes the students. He pushed me as well into like sort of opening up a bit, going to these networking events and actually doing the networking, because that's kind of like a hard part too, is some of it's not even just the technical things. It's the skills that will help you anywhere, because it takes a
Mm,
lot to go up to a stranger and strike up a conversation. And that is something I have found that I've improved at a lot, especially through the opportunities that Dr. O has presented for us to attend, especially including share.
mhm,
So, and I bring that up because, I wanted to kind of mention how much there is outside of just the badge courses and things like that, because that technical training is important. Undoubtedly, it is important to have access to it, but it's also that those things can be taught more
mm,
easily in like a classroom setting, a work training setting. It's getting up there and talking to people. It's that kind of thing that's and actually getting the people who will be willing to call on you and say, "Hey, I heard XYZ opportunity is happening. You should look into it." That is something that's harder to teach in a classroom. So,
mhm. It's that interpersonal skill that a lot of us, some people have to refine that, and that's okay. Um, I'm really curious though, what made you lean into the mainframe so lovingly? That's the only way that I can put it.
honestly, it was share. It was
Yeah.
share because I mean, I've been hearing about the mainframe for maybe like a year, probably since
Mhm.
junior year. I remember that was when Devonte, doing his ambassador thing. He says, "Hey, there's this master the mainframe challenge, and there's badges, there's courses." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." But I didn't really follow up on it because he tried to explain what a mainframe is to me. And this he's pretty good at explaining things, but still, it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to explain it in general. So I was like, it's a big computer. It runs your credit card transactions. I don't want to do that because I thought I already had myself figured out. I had my shtick, I want to do cybersecurity stuff, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that the mainframe was broader than I was thinking. So really, this all came to a head when we went to share because I remember I kind of agreed to go a little last minute. My spring break had just cleared, and I was like, yeah, all right, why not? Networking can't hurt me. But when
Right.
I actually got there and we got to spend the 3 days there going to the expos and going to the talks, and I saw how real this was for so many people, spoke to these folks who are telling me I've been doing mainframes for 20, 30, 50 years. People were like, yeah, I remember I was about your age when I got into this, and they've had lifelong, passionate careers about this. And even just seeing, wow, mainframes are not just computers that run enterprise transactions. They're computers. They do all kinds of things. There's all sorts of sectors for anything, almost anything that you want to do in computer science. You can do it on a mainframe. It's not all
Mhm.
sysprog, which is what I was thinking. I was imagining it's all like SAS code and stuff. Like
Right.
there's nothing for me over there. Like, no, there's a lot to do. And that's now what's really got me interested in it, like seeing the breadth of it as a career prospect. So, yeah.
I just
That's
want to
excellent.
say that when we went to share, I kind of
Mm.
had to be like, I told you all this was real. Like I was not making any of this up.
Yeah, I
That's
have to
right.
second that.
Yeah, yeah. And when folks finally get to see, when they finally get to see exactly what the mainframe is all about, it's really eye-opening and a little humbling because I
Yes.
don't think, I know for me, I was just like, this was something, my mom might have done, at the IRS, but it's not, okay. I remember her coming home and she was kind of worn out and she was like, oh, I looked at a computer all day, but she was so happy, right? And then when you
Yeah.
get these people that come in like you all and you say, oh, well, there is security, cybersecurity within the mainframe. There is transactional data going through the mainframe. There's a whole bunch of databases and we can change people's lives and make things better. It becomes so real, doesn't it? It
Yes, it
really
does.
Oh
becomes
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And
And then
even
there
oh,
are students
my
who are
bad.
into Linux, and then they find out that yes, you can do Linux on
On
the
the
mainframe
mainframe.
as well. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, you can do Linux One, and you can do Ubuntu, and you can do Red Hat, and all types of Linux, and they
Mhm.
become very excited when they find that out as well.
Right. Because now all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm 1 in a million on a 1 in a million platform that is going to pay me the money, show me the money. And I hate to say, oh, it's the money, the money, the money. But at the end of the day, you get to have you can support yourself in a very nice way when you become familiar with the mainframe, with Z systems. Also, very rewarding. Wouldn't you agree, Devonte?
Oh yeah. I would say out of like every IBMer I talk to, and I tell them that I'm interested in going to Z, they're just like, you know what, you have very, very, very good job security. And I kind of feel like that it's really an eye-opening moment, like once you find out like all the different stuff that you can actually do on the mainframe, because a common misconception is that, a lot of people when I'm hosting workshops and I'm talking about the mainframe, I think one person came up to me and asked me, he's like, does the mainframe still use punch cards? I was like, absolutely not. It does not. Like, there's so much new technology that's on the mainframe. That's probably it's so cool. It's so cool to like actually it's so cool to actually be that person. Like, no, it's so much more than just punch cards. It's not even punch cards anymore. There's like AI inferencing, credit card detection fraud, quantum cryptography. There's so much cool stuff that you can do on the mainframe that's not even available on PCs at that point. So it's really eye-opening to see that.
Yes. And plus, a lot of students are into the cloud now. Cloud technology is becoming ubiquitous. But we have mainframe in the cloud now, so you can access mainframe from your PC and get into the cloud and do a lot of cloud technologies. If you want any of the other cool technologies, cloud technologies, you can access them as well and do cloud technologies as well. So that is there. So it's very exciting once you get to know the how exciting and how ubiquitous the cloud is and how the mainframe is. So you can do all sorts of things on the mainframe.
Absolutely. I'm taking an IBM Cloud Architect course right now. It is intense, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And it's opened my eyes to a lot of different possibilities. So now my whole conversation walking around the house is, did you know? It always starts off with, did you know?
Yes.
And everybody's like, no, we didn't realize that.
Well, now you know.
Now you know. So, Dr. Owor, what advice would you give to a person that is looking, to explore their possibilities with mainframe computing? What advice would you just give just anybody?
Well, I would say that the first place to go to is Z Explore. Go to Z Explore, register yourself there, and start taking some courses. And then interact with people there. Interact with students, interact with IBMers, interact with different Fortune 500 companies. And then start building your resume. And then you will find something exciting to do, and then you can take that path. And then after that, start looking for internships and job opportunities. And you will find them there.
Absolutely.
So you will find very exciting, and whichever direction you want to go to, you will find somebody there.
Right.
And you'll find a whole bunch of people. And you'll just be amazed at how much technology is there and how you can build yourself. And you will begin to do a lot of amazing things. Very exciting stuff. IBM also supports a lot of inventions. I think it is the number one company in terms of inventions and innovations. And so if you have an idea, you can build it, and they'll even help you to try to patent it, or to build the technology. I mean, if you look around, you'll see that IBM helped a lot of people. IBM even helped Bill Gates start Microsoft.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very exciting opportunities there. Yeah.
So, Adia, what do you think is probably the best transferable skill to be able to survive in this space? From a student point of view, what would you think?
Really, I would say it's a willingness to learn, like adaptability. Because the thing is, a lot of these companies, and I remember this is something they told us at Share, a lot of the companies mentioned to us, seeing the fresh faces, they were like, we have programs for you. Like we have internships, we got co-ops and stuff. We want to train you. So really,
Mm,
it's the adaptability and the confidence to think that you're capable of learning it. Because I feel like it's easy to get kind of bogged down in the minutia, the oh no, all the stuff I don't know. They're going to think that I'm not qualified or smart enough or blah, blah, blah to do this position. But the
mhm.
truth of the matter is, what they want to see is someone who is willing to come in and learn because they are willing to teach us. So I just wish that it was like easier to transfer that message because even for me, I get a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of they're gonna find out that I don't know ABC thing and they're gonna like regret that they gave me a chance. Like, no. They they know when you come in, you may not know that much. They may even be dealing with sometimes with people who don't know mainframes at all. I mean, I knew what a mainframe was in a general sense. There are people that I know people I've spoken to who said, "Yeah, I have a career in mainframe, but I had no clue what a mainframe was when I started." Like I just applied to an internship or I transferred over from a different thing I was doing and they were like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Okay." And
Okay.
that's how their career started because
Right.
people trained them. Don't have
Mhm.
to know everything. Just have to believe I can learn and I just
Mm.
have to be willing to try. So,
Can we put that on a t-shirt?
I would buy it.
I
I would
totally
buy
would
it
buy
too.
that.
Yes.
Totally would buy that. So let me ask Devonte. Devonte, I know we talked about this before when we talked a couple weeks ago, but what was the motivation to, you know, tell your peers, "Hey, let's go to Share"? How did that even just pop into your head?
Well, I heard about Share before, a couple times throughout the ambassador program. It's just like, what's Share? I want to know more about that. What am I sharing? What is it? And I actually talked to an IBMer called her name is Christy Joy Schneider, I believe. And we sat down and had a coffee chat and she sent me the website for sure. I was like, oh, okay, this would be a great conference. And
Yeah.
I was doing my research, I was looking around the website and I saw there's gonna be in Atlanta. I was just like, you know what? We have to go. And I'm gonna shout out this one IBM champion, and you all know him. His name is Dusty. He messaged me on LinkedIn and he said, "Hey Devonte, did you know that Share is free for students?" I was like, "No way!"
You know?
Like that, that cannot be real. I was just like, "Really?" So I went on Share's website and I saw. I was like, "You know what? We are going." So I think like the next day I went to Dr. Owor. I was like, "Hey, Dr. Owor, have you been to Share?" He's like, "Yes, I've been to a couple of Share conferences." I was just like, "Do you know it's going to be in Atlanta in March? We gotta go." And and Dr. Owar said, "Yes, let's do it."
Make
So
it so.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Pretty much.
So I asked a couple students, would they be interested in going,
Mhm.
if they had spring break free, and they said yes. So I think we took about 7 students with us,
Yeah.
and we got a van from the university, and our hotel was covered from the university, and share was free. And I think that it was just the initiative to 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 bring together a group of like-minded individuals like myself at the time when I first started getting into mainframes. Like I didn't know much about mainframes, but I took that first step into diving deeper to learn more about it. And my mentor Sadar Smith, she told me that one of the many great qualities of being an IBMer is being a catalyst for other people's growth. And she said, Devonte, you are that catalyst. And I knew eventually that I was going to attend Share in Atlanta, but the fact that I just said, you know what, I don't want it to just be me. I want to bring my friends with me, and that's exactly what I did. So I think that it's just like taking that initiative and that first step to be like, you know what, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something different. And it was just so amazing seeing it was just so amazing getting to meet so many people, and then also seeing my friends talk to people that I know like on a daily basis now. It's just so cool to get to see that in real life.
That is it.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
is it. What about you, Dr. Owor?
No, I was very thankful that Devonte actually came to me and said, I want to go to share and I want some students to accompany me. I said, let's make it happen. And we did. And we got there, we got to share, and the experience was just mind-boggling because students were able to see different companies and share opportunities, and they passed out resumes, and so many students got opportunities actually to get internships. It was very, very exciting just talking about the various things people are doing with the mainframe. So many different varied companies, and the people were very supportive and very nice and very conversational, and we had a great time. Really, we had a great time. So the students, when they came back, told their friends. So about 20 or 30 students now are saying, I want to go to the next share. When is the next share?
Get out of here.
Yes, yes. So the next share, we are going to take even more students.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
It
it's
was
almost, it's
wonderful.
going to be like a whole bus ride.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'd like
it's
to go
definitely
again
gonna
if I
be.
can.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, me too. It's definitely good to see like the effect that we had, at Share because when we first got there at I think it was like the first night at the expo, we walked in the room, you see all these different companies, and it was and we all just kind of like stood there for a minute like, wow, we didn't think it was gonna be this big.
Yeah.
And the first couple people we've talked to, they're just like, you know what? When you walk around here, you're gonna see a lot of people with gray hair, but you know what? You guys are probably gonna be the first. Well, yeah, you guys are probably gonna be the first couple people that has black hair because you know what? We need young people in mainframes, and then also you get to talk to so many amazing people, get some amazing swag, and then also you get to see like a real life mainframe in person. So
Mhm.
I think that it's just really cool to get to experience that, and then also it was kind of like a full 180 circle for me because it's like I talk about it every day, but actually like getting to tell my friends like, yeah, you see, all of this is real. Like I wasn't making any of this up. This is exactly what jumping into mainframes can lead you to. And it's just so amazing to see like that effect because just like Dr. Owor said, we plan to take even more students to like the next year conference. So I think that we really did start a movement here, and I'm really glad that we were able to be a part of it.
And if I can add something to that, I also thought it was
Feel
interesting
free.
that, yeah, we actually, part of I think why we stuck out a lot too is because we did not encounter any other students, any current students who were visiting Share
Hmm.
while we were
Really?
there. Maybe
All the
there were
There
schools
some
were
in
about
Georgia.
about 4 or 5 other students actually.
but we didn't really bump into them as much. There weren't that
Yeah.
many students considering, just speaking generally, Share was in the part of Atlanta. It's close to quite a few colleges. And
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that, nobody really knew. Nobody heard about it. So it didn't end up coming up because so we ended up sticking out a bit because it was mostly like just a couple young people around and a decent chunk of those young people were there with their companies bringing them in for the first time as new hires and stuff, which was also nice because we got to interact with some people that had just finished college and had, gotten good opportunities in
Mhm.
mainframe and all that. So it was nice. But it was interesting seeing that dynamic as we interacted with people because everyone was so open and like willing to be like, yeah, there's stuff here, look into
Yeah.
some of these companies, look into what you might want to do in mainframe. Like, there's so much you can do here if you want to start, and we want to help you start if you're interested in that. But I do remember I was at one of the booths. I was talking to someone there from one of the companies, and he was explaining this concept to me, like in pretty high level technical terms.
Yeah.
I am there, I am dazed, wild eyed. I have no clue what he's talking about, but I also don't know where to interrupt him. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, so what company are you from? Like, what software solutions is your company used? And I like lifted the badge a little bit, and I was like, I'm a student, so I don't really know what's going on. He was like, oh, okay, my bad, and started over the whole explanation in like 50% less technical terms, so I could maybe piece together what he was talking about, which I did think it was funny, but that's just, because they didn't see a lot of students around, so it just
Yeah.
wasn't an assumption. So
He was trying to sell you
yeah,
on something.
yeah,
And
but he was
obviously it stuck, right? It took, because
Yes.
now I bet you, just kind of looking back, you can say, oh, I know what this person was talking about now.
Yeah.
Or I'm a little more familiar, and I actually spoke with the solution expert. You can
Yes.
tell all your friends at work, I actually spoke to that person.
Yeah.
And I know.
And then we
things
went, there were
connecting.
some sessions where, they were giving a taste of mainframe. So like you go and maybe access a database, process the information and output some data. And so some students were very shocked to find that some of the stuff they had done actually in Master the Mainframe in 𝗜𝗍𝗀𝗻𝗆. And they said, oh, this is real, So they said,
It's
yeah,
not just a
this is real.
game.
Yes, yes. So that was exciting as well.
It was definitely really cool, because I thought that, Cher was just gonna be like, okay, you go into like this big conference hall and you just sit there for 8 hours just listening to people talk. But no, it was like they had so many different sessions, and then also labs that you can like go and do and interact a lot with like ZOS and DB2 and Kicks and like so many different things. I was just like, wow,
And the
you know what?
the expo was great.
Oh yeah. And then also the expo, where you get to talk to like all the different companies that use mainframe technologies every day. And it was and the expo lasted for about 3 days. So even if we didn't get a chance to talk to that person the first day, we got to go back the second day and the third day and talk to them, again. And I think I met with like almost every company there. And I went to like this one company called Dino Software, and they're just like, hey, I remember you from last night.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
You were
So
singing karaoke.
But it
a lot
was
of
just
free t-shirts and cups and stuff.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, I got one on right now, but it was just so cool to get to see that. And then also it was kind of like surreal for me, because the first day that we were there, I think it was like the very first session that we attended. It was Dusty River's session. So we walked in, and
now that was a
and
treat.
Oh yeah, it was so great. So so we walked in, and Dusty's like, at the front in the front of the room giving his presentation. He's just like, hey Devonte, there's a seat right here next to Shire. I was like, oh my God, he knows my name, and my lights just went off. Wow, that's crazy. But but anyway, the point of it is that
Live.
okay. Oh, I don't know what
It
happened.
must be raining.
I think it is. So
Yeah.
sorry about that, but
That's
forgive
okay.
me.
I can still hear you.
But anyway, it was just cool to actually, get to meet people that, I've seen on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh wow, they actually know who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's
it was
like
really cool.
You get to meet your heroes.
Yes, you do. It's very exciting to meet people, you've interacted with just on LinkedIn or through some chat, or you just met on some Zoom conference, and it's very exciting. Yes.
Very much so.
My lights came back on, so.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Well, hello. Welcome back. It's nice to see you.
Yes.
So I want to ask Dr. Owor, and I want you all to chime in too. And I see in the chat you all are pretty hot here, but I need to find out, what do you think, sir? Cobalt or Java?
Ew.
I think both, because you
Diplomatic
need
answer.
you need Cobalt, because there's quite a bit that is written in Cobalt, and there are probably certain things you can only do in Cobalt. But Java, certainly, because Java has become such a popular language, and you can write, so there are compilers you can convert from Java to Cobalt, from Cobalt to Java. So I think both. Yes, it's good to know both. And there is some code which was written quite a while back, and it was written in Cobalt. So you need to understand Cobalt as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
And they pay good money too. If you know Cobalt, I know that you can quickly rise to $140,000, $180,000 doing Cobalt. So I encourage
Yeah.
I encourage students to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important. And with, I know that there's so many, they call them modernization efforts,
Yeah.
but is it really modernization? And maybe I'm not going to get into the argument, but what about being able to clean the code, make the code a little bit better, make it match with whatever we're using now,
Yeah.
as a part of modernization efforts. Adia, you can chime in. What do you think?
Well, frankly, I have not programmed in COBOL myself. I'm a Java Python person, but I will say I'm gonna call myself out on this one, I guess. Devonte told me a while back he was learning COBOL a couple months ago before Share. And I was like, COBOL course? He said, yeah, COBOL. I was like, COBOL? He was like, yes. What do you mean? There's only one COBOL. And I was like, why are you learning COBOL? I
What
was like,
is
does anybody
this?
still use that? And he had to
Right.
show me, like, yes, people still use COBOL. This is what they use it for. No, I'm not
Yeah.
crazy trying to learn a dead language. It's very much alive. Um, but I will say that from my understanding,
Mhm.
the modernization efforts have been trying to shift towards not necessarily getting rid of COBOL, although I will admit there were a couple booths at Share where their focus was kind of like, let's see if we can remedy all this COBOL stuff and convert it to languages that are, more common for people these days to be familiar with.
Okay.
And so there are some efforts to like push people towards like your Java and Python core, and the biggest problem I think is just that Mainframe's been around a long time. A lot of people have been in this industry a long time. It takes a while to implement change because it's sort of like, do I really want to learn a new language now when I've been using the same languages for however many years, decades, possibly? So, I think that's kind of part of their whole modernization thing, wanting to bring younger people in, is they're like, well, we don't have to go through that learning curve. We'll just start you with the stuff that you already know, which is going to be more Java and Python and whatnot.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Okay. And Devonte, what do you think the solution is? Now you're on the hot seat.
Mhm.
Um, I would say both, but I have a reasonable explanation.
Okay, love
So,
to hear it.
so actually at Albany State University, the very first programming language that they teach is Java. So I was actually exposed to Java first.
Hmm.
And I asked Dr. O, I was just like, what if we added like a mainframe COBOL course? And Dr. O was like, yeah, like that'd be good. But then again, it would be kind of hard like getting the university to actually add that to the curriculum. So
Hmm.
so I kind of just kept that idea in the back of my mind. But I started off with Java first, and after I learned Java, I'm now working on brushing up on Python. And just like Adia told the story about when I was first learning COBOL, is that I first got introduced to Cobalt in Z Explorer. I was just like, you know what? This is very English like code. And for those of you that learn Cobalt, it's very English like, so it's easy to grasp per se.
Hmm.
And once I
You can
saw it in
really
Z
lean
Explorer,
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
and once I saw it in Z Explorer, I was just like, you know what? I gotta learn more about that. And
Yeah.
um, and I watched Jeff Bisty's course on COBOL programming with VS Code. I was just like, you know what? Actually, you know what? Jeff is very good at teaching COBOL, because I probably like, you know what? There's no way I could probably do that on the fly like that.
Right.
So I was like,
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? I like that. And I actually ended up getting that badge. I was like, you know what? This is great. I actually want to learn more about it. So right now I'm actually working on a COBOL program experience badge on Interskill, just going through the courses on there. And I'm just like, you know what? I want to be versatile in both. So that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
why I kind of said that, both is very important. It just depends on what exactly you're doing, but you can actually utilize both on the mainframe. So it's actually,
Yeah.
good to be familiar with both.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. COBOL
And
has its
and
place in the
when
in the sphere.
teaching, yes, when teaching Kobo, you sort of, like in Kobo, you have what you call the data division and then the procedure division. Uh, So some students ask, but why do you have all these separate divisions? I say, but even in Java, you first have to define your data
Hmm.
and
Yep.
then do your functions or your methods, you know. So that is basically what it is, you know.
Right.
And so it's good to be able to explain and see the relationship between these languages.
Hmm.
Yes,
And it makes it current and relevant for the student, because
exactly.
now, oh, I'm making these connections again, you
Yes.
know, and it makes it just easy and seamless so that they can be able to get the skills. And that's what it's all about. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Exactly.
if I could just comment on that, I think that's a really good point generally is like you go through school, especially like when you're in college, you don't actually start doing things that feel like primarily directly useful to what you want to do
Hmm.
until like
Hmm.
probably junior year. So
Right.
let's say at that
Hmm.
point you've been in the school system like what, 18 years probably at a
Hmm.
minimum. At that point, really your thought is like, if it doesn't seem like I need it, I don't want to learn it because you thought, well,
Right.
all through K through 12 and even the first 2 years of college, they make you take classes for stuff you're never going to need. You're there, like huffing and puffing in biology. Like, why am I doing this? I don't care about biology. I don't need to know the Krebs cycle, right? But
I
Wow.
actually
actually
like
seeing,
biology though.
That's very specific.
Yes.
but in practice, you start
Yeah.
to see where these things connect and what they're useful for. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
we do, everybody takes a database management course at Albany State. We do SQL.
Hmm.
And I do remember a lot of us have that feeling of, why am I doing this? I don't want to do anything with databases. But now, actually, I found that I am doing something with databases. And knowing at least a little bit of that, I was like, okay, now I understand what this was for. Being
Right.
Yep.
able to make those connections as to why you're putting time into learning something, because to start with, it's not like any knowledge is useless. I firmly
Right.
believe there's no useless knowledge, but
Yes.
Right.
understanding directly what it's useful for is helpful in self-motivation.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's
Yes.
always funny how life always comes back around, and I would say that as my time as an ambassador, I started finding out like all these different things that you could do on the mainframe, like run DB2 on ZOS and talk about hybrid cloud infrastructure. I was just like, why do I need to learn all that? And similar to Adia, during my internship, I actually worked with DB2 on ZOS. I was just like, you know what? It's funny how life works. so
Yes.
Hmm.
so I'm actually really glad that I got exposed to that. When I did, because it um it came very useful at the right time. So
Yes. Yes.
Right.
And knowledge has a way of appearing somewhere or showing up when you least expect it. I mean,
Hmm.
right.
we learned about photosynthesis in maybe middle or high school, except if you went ahead to do more biology. And then we also learned about solar power and so on. And in doing some research, now you find out that the solar power, the energy that is captured from solar power depends on the color of the system. So you find that green is why is green the most common color on Earth? It is because green is what absorbs the most energy, and
Mm.
actually that is why plants are green, and that's why chlorophyll is green. And then so when you make solar power panels, you see all the solar power panels are greenish,
Right.
because that is the color that absorbs the most amount of energy, you know. And it took biology in order to understand that,
Right.
Yeah, it took the study of photosynthesis, because photosynthesis is a process by which you absorb sunlight energy and you use that sunlight energy to make food, with
Mhm.
chlorophyll and carbohydrate and so on,
And
so no knowledge is wasted,
Right.
it's
Exactly.
it's always going to come back,
Exactly. Yes.
and you'll be able to absorb it and just bring it back, recall it,
Exactly.
share
Hmm.
it with someone else.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
You.
very holistic approach. Go ahead.
Yes.
Learning is a journey and not a destination. Truly
Mm.
That's
what it
right.
is.
That's right.
Yes.
There's
And
there's
I.
our second T-shirt.
Yeah.
You know what? We're gonna have a lot of T-shirts after this podcast.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's a t-shirt and
And-
jean type of day.
Merchandising.
Yay! And I just want to say that one thing that I always tell people is that, you know, learning is one of the greatest things that we can do as human beings. So, you know, definitely take advantage of it and use it, you know, for what you're going to do in life. And I actually, you know, want to bring up this funny story about one of Dr. Owar's classes. It was cryptography, and it was one of my favorite classes that semester. It's like, you know what? I want to know more about this. I don't know what cryptography is, but I know I'm going to learn something in there. So I think it was like the first or second day of school, and Dr. Owor started talking about physics. I'm just like, this isn't a physics class. This is cryptography.
Yes.
Why is it
Yeah, he
talking
was
about
explaining how
physics in here?
prisms work. We took that class together, and we were looking
Yeah.
at each other like, "Huh? Wait,
What?
Mm.
I'm just like, what is happening here?
Mm.
But Dr. Owor made it translate so easy. I'm just like, I see why you were talking about that now. And it's sort of like he always talks about physics and chemistry like the first 2 days of every class that he teaches. So I'm just like, oh well, you know, I had this last semester, I don't even hear it again, but
It
it always
mattered a lot
happens to
because we
get
did
me.
quantum computing. That's really how
Right.
it came in.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it came in. So, you know, I think that, you know, at the time you may think like, why am I learning this? But then again, it's gonna come back, you know, full circle.
Right,
Mhm.
right. You're going to understand it whether you like it or not,
Yes.
but you will be exposed to it. So you can be able to breathe. You have to be able to.
Yeah.
I have a mentor that always tells me, he says, "Are you breathing?" I say,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm breathing." And he says, "Okay, press enter." And I'm like, "Okay." You know, so
Yes,
so
yes.
that's I see that. I see that. I really, like I said before, when I spoke with you a couple of weeks ago, Devonte, and you were talking about Dr. Owor, I said, I've got to meet that individual because you were going on and on. I was like, really? But now I really see the difference in the impact that you're making down at Albany State University, Dr. Owor. That's very amazing.
Thank you.
Your classes have got to be booked like already, I would imagine. The semester hadn't even started. People are still out.
Well, yes. Well, I like to teach, and I enjoy, you know, expanding the minds of students. So I really try to connect things, you know, and try to look into the future and see what technology is going to show up, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I like the
So what's
fact that
hot right now?
yes. Pardon?
What is hot right now? What are the students
I
looking to learn?
think definitely quantum computing is going to be very hot.
Mhm.
I think the U.S. president just met the chairman and CEO of IBM,
Yeah,
and
he did.
the chairman and CEO of IBM have partnered with University of Tokyo and the University of Chicago to build this massive quantum computer, and it's very exciting because it's going to solve a lot of problems. The fact that it can do more than one thing at a time is just amazing, you know.
Right.
And just based on quantum theory itself is very strange and very spooky. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's amazing. You know, for instance, one item can be here in the United States, another item in Australia, and when the item in the United States changes, the item in Australia also changes. You know,
Yeah.
that
Quantum entanglement. Mhm.
exactly quantum entanglement. So
It
it's
flies
very
over my head.
exciting stuff.
My ears are like tingling. I'm sitting here like,
Yeah.
ooh, talk more about that.
Yeah.
Let's hear more about that.
Yeah.
You know,
And then the other area, of course, which is going to really expand is artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Yep.
Artificial
And we
intelligence.
see that now.
Yes.
Yeah. I
So
think
it's going
that
to affect every single area of life,
I
whether
think
it is
that
medicine or engineering or economics or literature or music. Artificial intelligence is just going to blow our minds, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
You can
I
go
think
to a
I was
website today and ask some to sing. Say you can ask the website to sing a Michael Jackson-like song, and it will compose new Michael Jackson songs, based on old music that Michael Jackson has done.
Wow.
It is
Yeah.
amazing, yes.
I
Or
think
to
I was on
translate,
LinkedIn.
yeah.
I
You
think I
can
was
even
on
ask it to
LinkedIn and I
translate. Yeah,
saw a
ChatGPT is
post.
a good example.
Whoop.
Actually, I was going to speak about ChatGPT because I was on
Yeah.
LinkedIn the other day, and it was a quote from like a tech executive, and they said that, you know, sure, AI may replace jobs, but for those that like sort of like learn how to like deal with AI,
Mm-hmm.
you can be able to adapt, and that way it doesn't replace your job. You can kind of replace AI a little bit.
Plus, you need
Um,
the AI. So tech
right,
people.
right. So you need tech people. And the other day I was trying to explain ChatGPT to my mom, and similar to what Dr. Owor was saying is that I found a website that read her paper, but it sounded like Snoop Dogg. It's just like, how did Snoop Dogg get in the computer? I was just like, it's it's generated AI,
Yeah.
but
Right.
but it sounded like so realistic you would actually think like Snoop Dogg was reading your English paper right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And how
Yeah.
wonderful is that? I mean, you know, people, I see it on LinkedIn a lot. I see it in the trades, and people will comment, "Oh, AI is going to take our job." Well, why not learn a little bit about AI?
Yes. I think this is what happened during the Industrial Revolution. People were
Ooh,
in the
talk about it.
farms
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying, "Oh, these industries, new factories and machines are going to take all our jobs."
Mm-hmm.
And but the industries and machines created more jobs than they were there, because agriculture, what was there in agriculture, it was just digging and growing crops and so on, and using horses. But
Mm-hmm.
industrial revolution brought in new trucks and new equipment and new machinery and all that, and created absolutely new jobs. I think this is what is going to happen with artificial intelligence as well. It will expand and create new jobs and new opportunities, and there will be several ways to use AI.
Mm-hmm.
What is important is that the government should regulate AI a little bit, because
Yeah.
there are good actors and
Mm,
bad actors, and the bad
Mm-hmm.
actors are definitely taking advantage. I was
And
Yeah.
recently told
that's
of
another job, right?
Yes, I was recently
right.
told of a trick that is being used by hackers now. Hackers record your voice, and once they have recorded your voice, they can create anything. So they'll give a call to you, and it will be in your own voice, and then they will send that message to a friend, and the friend will hear your voice and say, "I'm in trouble. Send $2,000 to me. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
trouble."
Oh my
And
God.
somebody says, "Is that really you, Henry?" You say, "Yes, it's me, Henry." And they send $2,000, and they find out that it was actually AI generated, by a hacker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Plus, like AI can be used to create more effective strategies for circumventing our cybersecurity policies as they stand. Like just as one specific example of like a sector that impacts is just because like you have on the good side, you can use AI to really find your vulnerabilities and do some of that penetration testing for you. But the bad guys got AI too. So they can
Mm-hmm.
ask it, well, take a look at this website and do my reconnaissance for me and find all the weak spots so I can target them faster. So there needs to be, I guess, guardrails, and there will be growing pains as with anything in tech. But I think that's just like as we adjust, and the problem is that tech moves fast. Government is not known for moving fast. So it takes a
Yeah.
while for policies to come into place relative to the speed at which we advance tech. I think once we start to stabilize that a little bit, we can really talk about, how we can coexist with AI without it being a big scary thing
Mm-hmm.
or being the coolest thing ever because it's a tool. It is neither inherently good nor bad. It's just a tool. We got to figure out how to use it correctly.
Mm-hmm. And being that it's a tool, everyone is going to use that tool. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
whether they're bad acting or not.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
as far as Z systems are concerned, what's the trend going to be like? Do you all think? I'm going to say maybe the next, let's say 3 years 3 years. We
I
have
think, yeah,
the AI going on. So we have Watson. What
yes.
else?
We have Watson. I think cryptography is also going to really grow. As you know, once we develop the quantum computer, it's going to break most of the encryptions, and it's going to break them in a matter of seconds.
Right.
And so we are trying to build post-quantum algorithms. And already in the Z16, they have put a post-quantum algorithm which protects data. And so it is unbreakable right now because it is the most advanced encryption. So we are going to continue to build stronger and stronger encryption systems that are going to resist quantum computers. So that's another trend that is going on. But definitely AI is going through more. What is happening is we are researching general artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, and what we want is to create more artificial intelligence which is more human-like. So we might reach a point of singularity where you cannot really tell the difference between a human being and a robot. And some people worry that we'll get to a point where the robot will say, at last, now I do not have to obey human beings. And maybe robots begin to recreate themselves and to fight human beings. And then,
This is very Detroit Become Human.
and then
Or I have no
what
mouth
if they
and I must
decide
scream.
that, oh, I think we should eliminate human beings from the face of the earth? So that some people worry about that, and so some people say that maybe we should stop. Actually, Elon Musk thinks that we should stop AI research for 6 months and try to figure out what if. In the newspapers recently, there was a story about a military, an Air Force situation where some drones had AI on it, and they built the drone so that it could resist it being attacked by the enemy. But unfortunately, this person who was testing the drone, trying to resist the drone made a decision to kill him as one of the solutions, and so it killed this military officer. So they have to rethink how AI is going to be developed. Don't just allow it to make decisions on its own, and
But
but
they can
then
be.
again, if you're going to allow AI to generate a solution, you have to allow it the freedom, to generate a solution, which could also mean that maybe killing you is the solution. Um, but that is something that has to be researched further.
Sounds like yet another job. Look, we have talked about, people are saying, oh, they're going to take my jobs, but we've actually just went over almost 5 different solutions. 5 different positions that could actually be useful. So you don't want the drone to kill anybody else. No friendly fire. Well, we need the programmer that's going to be able to do that, right?
Exactly.
What were you going to say, Devonte?
I was going to say, so it's like, we can't necessarily say like they're going to take our jobs when we just like talked about like you can't say like, oh, well, it's going to replace our jobs, so it's going to take our jobs when we just created like 10 jobs for you right now, just trying to like train the AI model itself.
Right.
And, I think that it takes a lot of time to like understand and study AI, but you can't necessarily think of it as like the enemy. Think of it as like something that you can't control yourself.
Yeah. So some teachers were saying, now what is, if you ask a student, write an essay comparing the United States economy to the Chinese economy. So what somebody does is just go to ChatGPT and types that question, and then ChatGPT gives him an answer, and then he submits that essay, says, hey, here's my essay. And it is a brilliant essay, and you have to give them an A. But the thing is that what we can do is also to write another ChatGPT program which checks if it was generated by ChatGPT.
They did that. Someone going to one of those top schools. I can't remember which one, but I know a college student wrote a program that does that earlier this year.
Is it called Undetectable AI?
It might
be. I have heard
be.
that one before.
Yeah. So I think the solution is going to be just like you have what is this program where if you write an essay and you have references and so on, you can cross-check, whether
Right.
they copied the essay or not. So we'll have some tools like that, and we can cross-check and see and say, oh no, this was generated by ChatGPT. You
Right.
can't, it's not admissible. Yes.
Right. I think that having just that as a tool, again, here we are with the tools, right? And being familiar with that. And then what a great way to actually teach somebody, these skills that they absolutely have to have. You absolutely have to have these skills. Now, we don't have a lot of time. We've got maybe 2 minutes left. I'm looking in chat. Let's see here. Let's see. Karen Kilroy has done a lot of research and development on blockchain, tether AI, and prevent software from going rogue. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you. I want to get your final thoughts. And here's the question. How, and it's a loaded question, so bear with me.
Oh dear.
But how do we spread the joy about mainframes to not necessarily a younger generation, but just a new generation of practitioners and technicians? How do we do that?
Well, I think one of the things is what NASA is doing. NASA wants to train the future generation of scientists who are going to build new rockets, scientists who are going to travel to Mars, scientists who are going to build and inhabit Mars. So there are lots of things and questions that NASA has asked. So what NASA has done is to start a program where we go into the middle schools and into high schools, and we ask them, think about growing food. How will you grow food on Mars? Then they say, well, you just plant a seed. But there's no oxygen, there is no water, there is no soil. So eventually they have to think about building a vacuum and pumping the Earth's atmosphere into that vacuum and then putting water there and bringing bacteria and so on, nitrogen fixing bacteria, and bringing light so that you can have photosynthesis, and then you can plant a seed and the seed can germinate. But the seed will not germinate because the gravity is seeds have roots only because of gravity. So you have to think about how we are going to do that. But then you remember that you have gravity simulators. Gravity simulators, you can simulate the gravity of Mars, the gravity of Jupiter, the gravity of the moon. So when you go to Mars, you simulate the gravity of Earth. And that fools the seed to think that it is on Earth. And so the seed germinates. And then you
And
can
think
grow food.
bigger into how you're going to solve problems.
Exactly.
That's right.
So we started that program, and we have that program at ASU where we have 250 students, middle and high school kids.
Wow.
And they're learning about NASA, and they're learning about space, and learning about how to solve different problems on when they're on Mars, because they're going to be living on Mars in 30 years. And so the same thing, we should go take mainframe to kids, take them to middle school and to high school, and give them challenges, and they begin to solve problems and to write code and to see how exciting it is. And then we'll create a whole new generation of software engineers who will be writing code on the mainframe and developing systems, which are mainframe based. So I think that is what we should do, really. Yeah.
I
My
like it.
question brief would be like that mainframe is presented oftentimes as a niche because I guess in practical terms that's what it is.
Okay.
But I don't really think it is a niche because it's more like a space in which you can find your niche. So if you present it as something that's more general, then it becomes easier for people to go, well, maybe I can just look in and see if the thing I know that I want to do, or maybe just I don't know that much about it, but maybe I like computer stuff, so I'll see what there is available. And that way it presents it, I guess, so you can prevent the idea that I had of it's a big computer that runs credit card transactions and I don't care about that. And instead think it's a sector of computer science. Let's see what there is in there. Can I do the thing I'm interested in on a mainframe? And that may make it easier for people to think less narrowly and think more broadly, as in, I can find a room that I would like in that space.
Absolutely. That's good. And what about you, Devonte?
Well, kind of similar to what, Adia said, is that, you kind of have to introduce them to like mainframe as a general concept and be like, look, you have the broad field of computer science, but then also in its own section by itself, you have mainframes, and there's so many different things that you could do on the mainframe that you can also do like in computer science in general. So I think that if you just try to, pique their interest, like, here's a really cool machine that process credit card transactions, use it every day, and you may not think that you're using it, but you actually are using it. And here are all the amazing things that you can do on it. I think that can really take, people far. And then also expose them to different things. If something really piques their curiosity and their interest, dive deeper into it. And I think that we can really go a long way to making sure that the mainframe, stays alive and stays well, for like the next 100 to 2,000 years, per se. But I think that you definitely have to keep the curiosity there. Otherwise, it's just going to diminish and fade off to like the next big thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You all, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add one thing.
Sure.
IBM always has been a leader in technology and computer development. And it has been evolving the computer ever since the computer started, And now we still have the mainframe, but the mainframe that is out there today is not the mainframe of the 50s and the 60s. It is a newer technology. It has got parallel processors. It has advanced cryptography.
AI
It has so
inferencing.
many things. Memory management is all new, and all these. The architecture is wonderful. So I think that is also another thing to teach kids, that in fact the mainframe is a very powerful technology, and it is the most advanced computer technology on earth. So they can begin to understand it and know it, and then because kids are always excited about new things and powerful
Right.
things. Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I have been so privileged to have you all on tonight. And it just feels like, I always say this, I wish that we had more time. I really, really do. Because there's some things I really want to get into. But I love the conversation that we had. This was very organic, and you all have just helped so many people, whether you know it or not. You have helped so many people to be able to make decisions, informed decisions about this mainframe space, this thing, the big box of computer parts that we get to see. I really appreciate you all coming on, and thank you so much. Any shout outs that we need to shout out to today?
Well, I
Devontae,
would just
you
like to
shouted out
say,
everybody the last
yes,
time.
I
I would just
did,
like to
and
say,
I'm gonna do it
Leticia,
again.
thank you very much. You've done a great job interviewing us, and
Yeah.
we hope that we have at least informed the public about the mainframe. We invite more students to come to Albany State University and do computer science, do the mainframe, and go and do great things. You can switch into any area that you want to switch into, whether it is software engineering, databases, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptography. You can do anything that you want to do, robotics. So we welcome everybody. We are very excited. We thank Devonte, and we are excited that he started working with IBM. We are also very thankful for Adia, who has got an internship, and there are other students also who got internships as well. They were not able to be
Yeah.
here, but I hope that they're watching, and I hope that we can all learn from each other. Thank you very much.
I don't even have to close this show now.
Yes.
Dr. Owor just made it happen for us. I'm just tickled pink. I'm telling you, I could probably sit on on my balcony right now with a whole glass of sweet peach tea and just be so thankful because I got to speak with you all, and we were able to help others understand why this space is so special. This is a special space. Thank you all for coming on. And I want to, I want to just tell our viewers, Mainframe's where it's at. Today we learned a lot. We learned about 𝗜희𝘀𝗽𝗶𝗿𝗼. That's a free resource, you all. How can you not love free 99? It's a free resource. You can go out and sign up for the course, take the courses, earn some badges, tell your friends about it, put it on LinkedIn or wherever you're going to put it on, for your badge, and let everybody know this is what I'm learning. Look at me. I'm learning this. You can learn it too. It's not impossible. You can do anything that you need to do and that you want to do. That is the key. We learned about the willingness to learn. We learned about going and investing in a good learning program. And we also learned that the Mainframe is here to stay. It is a thriving, bustling platform. This is where all of your technology is really, it's streaming through. It's streaming through. There's room for you on the Mainframe. So I'd like to thank everyone, all of our guests, Dr. Owor, Devonte Hawkins, and Adia, and you all stayed. So we really appreciate you. I hope that you found some value, and share with your friends. If you'd like to support the show, you're more than welcome. You can buy us a coffee, and we love you. And we thank you so much for hanging out with us today on this portion of the sponsor series called The Main Network, here with Tish Talks Tech. My name is Leticia, and I hope you have a great night. Bye-bye for now.